Have you ever had one of those moments where reality just felt a little off? You know, that fleeting sense that you're not quite connected to yourself, or maybe the world around you seems a bit strange? For most of us, it's a weird but quick feeling, but what happens when that feeling sticks around? Today, we're going to explore one of the most perplexing but actually surprisingly common human experiences: depersonalization derealization disorder. So yeah, let's dive right in. This one sentence from someone who actually lives with the disorder just gets right to the heart of it. It's not about losing your mind. It's about feeling separated from everything by some kind of invisible barrier. It's this deep, profound sense of detachment that we're really going to unpack today. These questions probably sound a little familiar, don't they? Little moments of this are super common, maybe triggered by stress or just being exhausted. They give us a tiny little glimpse into what it's like when your connection to your own life story feels fuzzy, like you're just sitting in the audience watching it all happen. Okay, so let's get a bit more specific here and put a real clinical name to these feelings. The disorder has two main parts that usually show up together, but they each describe a slightly different piece of this puzzle of unreality. So here's the crucial thing to understand. Depersonalization, that's all about your internal world. It's a feeling of being detached from yourself. You might feel like a robot or like your thoughts and feelings aren't really yours. Derealization, on the other hand, is about the external world. People, places, things. Your whole surroundings can feel totally artificial or dreamlike, or like you're looking at everything through a thick fog.
And what's really wild is just how visceral these descriptions are. I mean, these are not abstract concepts. They're deeply felt physical experiences. Just look at these phrases. I am no one, I have no self, or I feel robotic. It's intense. People also talk about their senses getting weird. Sounds might be muffled or way too loud, and time can feel totally warped. It's a complete, full-body experience of being disconnected.
Now, you might think this sounds incredibly rare, but the full-blown disorder actually affects a pretty significant number of people, somewhere between 1% and 2% of the population. I mean, that's potentially millions of people out there trying to navigate the world with that glass wall stuck firmly in place. This isn't just a fleeting thing. For a lot of people, it's a chronic condition. To really, truly wrap our heads around what's happening, we need more than just a list of symptoms. So let's explore this really powerful metaphor from philosophy and neuroscience, this idea of our consciousness being like a window. For most of us, most of the time, our experience of the world just feels immediate. We see a car and we just see the car. We don't stop and think about all the complicated stuff our brain is doing to create that image for us. Our consciousness is, for all intents and purposes, invisible. Philosophers actually have a name for this: phenomenal transparency. The best way to think about it is like your consciousness is a perfectly clean, totally clear window. You don't pay any attention to the glass itself. Your focus goes right through it to the world outside. The window is completely transparent. That's our normal, everyday state of being. Okay, so here's the big question. What's going on in depersonalization derealization disorder? Well, that crystal clear window of consciousness suddenly gets smudged. It becomes foggy, distorted, opaque, and all of a sudden you can't help but notice the window itself. And this quote from the philosopher Thomas Metzinger just nails the shift. He explains that instead of looking through your perception to see the world, you suddenly become aware of the process of perceiving. You're looking at the window now, not through it. And that's what creates that sense of separation, that glass wall between you and reality. You're not just in the movie of your life anymore. You're suddenly aware that you're watching it all on a screen. But listen, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. Neuroscientists are actually finding that this feeling of an opaque window has a real, measurable basis in the brain. So let's take a look at the biology behind all of this. So research has basically zeroed in on three key brain networks. You've got the default mode network, which kicks in when we think about ourselves. Then there's the sensor motor network, which is what grounds us in our physical bodies. And finally, the frontal parietal network, which is like our brain's attention director. Altogether, these networks create our stable sense of being a self in the world. So what's the big discovery? Well, in people with depersonalization derealization disorder, the way these networks talk to each other, what scientists call their dynamic connectivity, it's all altered. That smooth, seamless teamwork that normally gives us our transparent view of reality, it gets disrupted. This chart here is a great little snapshot from one of those studies. Researchers found these different brain states, which are just patterns of network activity. And if you look at the chart, you can see a huge difference in activity between the patients with the disorder and the healthy controls. This proves that the subjective feeling of being detached has a clear, observable signature in the brain. It's not all in your head in some dismissive way. It is quite literally in the wiring and firing of your brain. Understanding the biology and the philosophy is so important, but it's just as critical to know that there are ways to move forward. So let's talk about where this disorder might come from, and most importantly, what can actually be done about it. The disorder often pops up during the teenage years, with the average start being around 16 years old. It's often linked to some kind of trigger, like severe stress, trauma, or emotional abuse, although sometimes recreational drugs can set it off too. Getting a formal diagnosis usually involves in-depth clinical interviews that are specifically designed to pick up on these kinds of dissociative symptoms. When we talk about treatment, psychotherapy is really the main approach. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can help people learn to manage those intrusive thoughts and the anxiety that often comes with the disorder, which can really dial down the intensity of the symptoms. Now, there's no magic pill for it, but some medications might be used to help with other issues that often go along with it, like anxiety and depression, which can make the whole experience even harder to deal with. And there is absolutely 100% reason for hope. In one study on CBT for this disorder, nearly a third of patients, 29%, no longer met the full diagnostic criteria after they finished treatment. This just shows that with the right kind of support, it is absolutely possible to start cleaning that opaque window and reconnect with yourself and the world. Recovery can happen. So, where does all this leave us? Well, depersonalization derealization disorder is a truly unsettling condition, but studying it gives us this incredible insight. It reveals that our solid sense of reality, that feeling of just being here, isn't a guarantee. It's actually a delicate, amazing construction of our minds, a transparent window that we almost never notice until it cracks. And maybe, just maybe, by understanding how fragile it is, we can have a deeper appreciation for the remarkable magic of consciousness that we get to experience every single day.